time being. So we've got Nideth versus FF and EZ. Both playing Greek v Greek. I mean, both playing Greek, so we've got Greek v Greek for the first game. FF in the blue corner, Nideth in the red. Just getting a setup, we're going to do Mountain Crossing for game 1. Alright, so we've got a best of 3 between these two. And unfortunately, unlike the tournaments, we don't get sponsors here in the poor old show matches, I'm afraid, guys. We're drinking water out of the tap. I'm sorry. Why won't it start? Alright, just gotta give this a sec. We're gonna swap the players around. Swap who's host, sorry. Here we go again, they're saying in chat. So, it'll only be a minute or two. I'm sorry, guys. Just waiting on the game to actually start. So it'll only be a minute, guys, before we get this all underway for week 8 of the show matches. I've even got my good shirt on today. You can all see, it's even got buttons on it and a pocket. We're Flash today. And the game's actually started, so here we go. How's that look? About right. So, spawning in the left hand side of the map, we have FF and EZ from South America. I'm not sure exactly which country. I remember, I think it might be Peru. I don't really want to ramble on too much about that just in case I offend him. And in the right hand side we have Nideth, who's a French bloke in Canada. So this is a battle of the Americas at the moment. We got both players as a Greek, so we've got a Greek v Greek. Nideth hasn't yet found his hunt, still looking for it at the moment. FF's actually found his quite early, so a bit unlucky for Nideth really. He hasn't seen a hunt. And just give me a sec, guys, I'll just readjust my scroll speed so it's not as sickening to watch. But Nideth opting for an early dock. He's well adjusted for the fact that he hasn't actually got the early hunt. And I think it's only a show match, so he's not really too concerned about restarting the game. FF actually taking a storehouse. He's gone for 2 storehouses early. Needeth skipped his entirely to force out the early dock. So we'll have to see how this pans out. The early dock you can actually use together with workers as well, essentially as a proto storehouse. I mean, not a proto storehouse, a pseudo storehouse as well. Although it's probably not really ideal position a lot of the time, but it seems to be fairly good at the moment. So both players probably would have just checked topside just to look for the water. I think I saw FF scout over at the top side earlier. They're obviously trying to look for this water, which can spawn on either side of the map, which is sort of the contestable water. Both players have basically got a somewhat safe but still accessible water by their opponents. It's quite common to actually see proxy dock plays on this map. FF's actually looking at getting some early early stone, sorry, and is skipping, taking his lake for now. Needeth, on the other hand, is taking the early lake and just scouting out what FF has at home. So Needeth a little bit slower on taking stone. He's only got 1 villager as opposed to 4 on it at the moment. He's actually still rallied to get more villagers on it. He's finally got some ships out, so he should be actually able to catch up in terms of score, I think, because he'll actually be able to pop out faster villagers now. And FF, only on 13 villagers, is looking at taking his age 2, so this is quite an early age 2. Really crisp, clean greed build, so to speak. He seems to be doing quite well on it at the moment. His opponent having opted for the early dock, double fishing ship. I think he might look at cutting it there for now, and maybe trying to take the bottom water. But in saying that, he's also actually checking out his opponent's water. And it's actually FF scouting the lower side water. And FF starting to really fall behind on score while the age up is happening, because he has so much less villagers at the moment. Needeth, sort of a lull in his worker reduction. But there we go, I think he was just sort of waiting for the wood to get at age 2. And he's got the barracks. He's actually up by 3 workers at this stage, and he's got the double fishing ship advantage. So that's effectively a gap of 5 workers at the moment. But he is still on the berries as opposed to the hunt. So realistically, and FF has also taken the hunt upgrade, so realistically the difference is probably about 3 workers still. Maybe 3.5. But Needeth has the early barracks, the slower age 2, and his town centre is going to be a bit later than FF's. In saying that, yeah, he's definitely going to have the upper hand in terms of his land production, because he'll be instantly able to queue up hypers behind this. He'll be only just taking the early spearmen just to, I don't know, basically just beef up the army. At this stage, I tend to do that myself, so got a handsaw queued up, pickaxe being queued up behind it as well. He only has the single storehouse, so it sort of makes sense to queue them up side by side. Although if he does want to build anything, like another production facility, it might be worth cutting that till he forces out that second production facility. But he seems to be pretty content with taking the upgrade as early as he can. So I just had to cover my guts up. Got an archery range being constructed now for FF. So he would have sort of anticipated the early barracks, I think, out of his opponent. Either having the slower age 2. So we've got a good number of hypers here, but in saying that, there are archers already on the way to FF. He's playing just about as greedily, and I think he's going to look at taking his dock now. Not a bad spot actually, you can use that to actually gather from the woodline as well. And Needeth is actually scouted out the waterline, I mean the lake at the bottom, and spots through the woodline to actually get to the water. So might be quite advantageous if he looks at taking a dock if he applies some pressure on his opponent, but he's going to have to be careful because he's going to have a bit of a delay on his range, and maybe on his stables if he looks at going for that to actually try and deal with the range. So saying that FF is a lull in terms of his production of the archers at the moment. That's still queuing up hypers, so he's got a good count of them. So realistically, if he does get some archers behind this or some Saris, he's going to be able to kill the Toxotes and just overwhelm his opponent, I think. FF has quite a lot of resources in the bank. He's actually taking healing ointment to keep his scout topped up so he can scout out everything around his opponent's side of the map. So it's pretty smart to do so. But he's got a lot of gold in the bank. He would have... No, he's just getting it from there. Must have just been... Oh. Just mustn't have spent any gold. Okay, so... FF's just been gathering a crap load of gold. Not even sure where else from. Got so much in the bank already, and he's only got a couple of Toxotes out at this stage, whereas Nideth seems to be doing a bit better job at managing his economy at the moment. He's just got a little bit less in the bank, a bit more on the field, another barracks coming out. Probably could do with forcing out of range instead. I think if he... Where is this scout go to? He might have lost it already. Oh no, here it is. So I think he's probably noticed the range now. Nideth, yeah, does know about the range. He's going to be able to try and respond to that, but he's actually going for the stables rather than just countering with the range of his own, because he's going to be behind on the Toxotes count anyway, so he might as well just get the Saris to be able to deal with them as efficiently as possible. And he knows the fact that his opponent doesn't have any barracks at the moment, or he's finally just got one, so he's well behind on the actual infantry count, so he doesn't really have to worry too much about spearmen or hypers actually killing the Saris. So he can use Saris to really just snipe this Toxotes ball, although it is quite a reasonable number, and he's going to have to play a bit of catch up on that regard. But I think Nideth is probably going to opt for a archery range behind this. That's smart to do that. He's going to know everything that FF actually has on the water, and it's going to be quite easy to take the other side now, and he knows all about that passage. FF, on the other hand, I think he does know about this topside passage, but doesn't really have as much vision on what actually is going on the water for his opponent. So, Nideth, just running his units in the mid-map at the moment. FF trying to secure vision on the bottom waterline, so that's actually quite smart. Securing the vision on the pond. Really be able to force Nideth. Actually clear that out first before he can actually take the hunt. Take the water, look at taking either of the golds. And he's sort of restricted to going through the top as his next move, because there really is only the three gold mines on each side of the map for each of the players, and everything is sort of really contestable in the middle. So Mountain Crossing is one of those maps where it makes it quite interesting mid-game. And oh, there's a big number of infantry falling there for Nideth, so he's going to be really careful with that. He doesn't want to bleed too many infantry at this stage just to the bow ball, because FF's doing a really good job at massing up those bows at the moment. He's looking at taking another range behind us and throwing up a whole bunch of houses, getting some Saris of his own possibly. I don't think he's might wait to see if his opponent has some or actually get some ranges, but we see another stables being thrown out from Nideth, so this is quite smart, considering his opponent doesn't really have a lot in terms of infantry, although there are a couple of spearmen. So he's going to have to keep an eye on that, because if his opponent decides to go really spear heavy in order to shut down the Saris, as well as get some Saris of his own, then he can really look at fighting a good fight and raiding his opponent with the quickest unit in the composition so far that either player can field. So, but he's already noticed the watch post, which is good. He's actually chipping away at that now, but Nideth has his H3 upgrade in queue. FF getting some more economic upgrades, actually taking his stone saw. He's actually taken his age tree, sorry, I must have missed that. So he's trying to force that out to get the quickest TCE he can, and then get enough stone out of his starting base to really be able to fort and wall up properly. Because his third stone is actually in quite a bit of a precarious... sorry, that's the fourth stone. It's quite a generous stone deposit. Sorry, but he can use all that stone to really try and tower up and fort up the mid-map. And because it's such a tight choke, it's quite easy to try and secure it, but unfortunately for him, there's not actually a lot in terms of resources he can really lock down. Maybe the gold mine up there, but that seems about it. A lot of the time there are 2 or 3 gold mines in the mid-map that you can contest with your forts and your mid-map army, so Nideth is just sending around a big force of Saris, making sure his opponent's got nothing out on the map at the moment, and try and snipe any villages, any watchtowers, anything like that his opponent's got out before he engages, and tries to go for a bit more high value stuff back at home. But this is a bit risky for Nideth to try and engage, considering that there's that many bows. But in saying that, there's not a lot of front line for them, and the Saris aren't too far behind, so once they, well, would have probably made sure that hit them. And now he's going to come in, really start two-shotting all the bows. So it's really going to be devastating. Nice counter Saris, and the Toxotes, a lot of them are going to fall. The fortress is actually going to be denied, I think. The Hyper's going to finish off the prod, and so the Saris are actually really putting in the work right now. So the forward fortress of FF has been denied. He's getting some good vision on the map, but this is a good force for Nideth, despite probably being a little bit down in terms of numbers. He's really only got 16 units, his opponent's actually got 18. And he went into that with less too, so he's doing a good job in terms of his composition and his engagements. So, both players taking fortresses. FF is actually going to finish up quite a fair bit quicker, and in saying that, he's actually sort of fallen behind on the TC timings. He's still stuck only on the 2. His opponent's actually gone up to his 3rd, in range of being able to assist the fortress as well. So this is quite nice to see and quite common to actually see on Mountain Crossing when you do get caught in situations like this, especially mirror matchups and ones that are really fought over the mid-map, is that players will opt for the 3rd town centre to actually be quite sort of aggressive for the town centre, but it really assists in the defence here because it is just a little bit tankier than the fortress, and at age 4 it's actually well bit tankier because it actually gains another 2000 health, and you're going to have the TC fire, so that's, you know, basically double static defense. Throw up another tower or another fort there, and it's very, very hard to push into your opponent without a big army count advantage. And this is really also quite nice to see, getting some production facilities just behind this line. Probably going to throw down a fortress or some towers, or maybe even wall up this segment. Just force his opponent to be on the back foot. And likewise, FF's doing a good job at walling up this passage here. He might wall up the top side as well. And he's probably going to look at putting down his 3rd town centre or something down there, I think. If he doesn't wall up heavily on the top side and get it up here next to the gold, that is. So, interesting to see how each player approaches the mid game on this one. Nideth's already looking at introducing his siege, so really nice timing on that. There's a whole bunch of Saris still. A couple of prods here to actually help with the main army. And this high Sari count, if it does manage to catch anything, it's going to be able to deal a lot of damage. So I think FF's actually sort of anticipated it and is bringing around his cavalry to try and mop it up. This is actually a really favourable fight for the prods. They actually have that nice 2.5 times damage counter to cavalry, whereas Saris, they're an anti-range, anti-villager unit, so they're sort of forced to flee at the moment. While on the bottom side, FF securing vision of Nideth, so this is quite nice to see. He's going to really, with this nice vision here, if he gets another watchtower here maybe, he's going to have absolutely no problem in being able to be as greedy as he wants down here, because he's going to be able to see anything incoming in time and pull out back through this passage, and yeah, he'll be safe and sound after basically having gotten everything out of the mid-map on the bottom side. Considering that's got the water, it's going to be the quicker side. Meanwhile over here on the top side, there's a little bit more to actually fight over, because both players have got this really risky gold mine of their own in really close range, but it's saying that there's no water, so FF's probably sort of really incentivized to go towards this bottom side, taking the gold, taking the berries, maybe creep to these two here, because if he does so, he's going to really start to rob his opponent of resources on the map. So FF playing really good economic play at the moment. 75 villages to 61 Anita. FF has really strong economic play for an intermediate player. It's sort of one of his main strengths, I think. And he, yeah, just plays a nice standard game. It's quite a common sight to see him on the ladder. Makes some really strong mid games. And sort of bouncing back from early aggression from his opponents. So he's able to put in a bit of work with the prods now. Nida doesn't really have quite a high prod count of his own, but he has a lot of anti-range and a really nice mixed unit composition here to be able to try and put a good siege onto this fortress. He's even got a couple of hoplites in the mix just to give him more infantry tankiness. Plenty of Saris in here to try and deal with the Toxotes, but he needs to try and rally them onto them before he loses them all. So he really needs to start getting good kills there. And meanwhile his own range is under threat. FF's done a good job, even though they don't actually hard counter the range. The prods aren't a bad use against Peltus and stuff, because when the numbers are fairly even, it's just not a fair fight, considering the range is so much less tanky. So I think Nida's sort of come out a little bit worse than that, and considering he is behind economically, just because his worker counts are a little bit lower, I think FF is just a little bit nicer of a position at the moment. Nida's score is really starting to fall behind. He's uneven population, and his worker count isn't really falling any further behind. But FF really just has so much more on the field at the moment, so I think that's where the score really is coming into play. That, and he might be up a little bit in terms of his upgrades, because he's actually done a good job taking upgrades behind this. He's got all of his +1 upgrades, and then he's got his +2 melee damage and +2 ranged armor, so he's in a nice position at the moment. FF Nida, sorry, on the other hand, is really only just starting to get his upgrades now. So he's got a +2 range damage and getting +1 ranged armor at the moment. So he's sort of behind on upgrades, just catching up now. His economy is, he still just has a little bit more in the bank, I think. So he's actually probably had a fair bit less idle villages, I'd say. And just the fact that he did take the earlier dock as well means that it is a bit more of an efficient resource flow. So Nida has actually sort of bounced back in terms of score. His villager count is slowly catching up too. It's brought it down to a gap of less than 20 villages, down to about 16 at the moment, and is taking age 4, a little bit slower than FF. And in terms of being able to throw up a town centre and more forts, FF is in a nicer position for that at the moment. So he's actually finished maxing out. Nida still has a couple of units in training, getting a whole bunch of priests actually, so this will be really nice for him. The priests, especially if they're individually microed on a lot of different targets, especially the archers and on the cavalry, then it could be really hard for FF to try and break this, because if there's enough also rallied on healing and they're all just nice tucked in behind the army, and the army is well microed onto FF's units, it can be quite hard for him to take a good fight here. FF's army is a little bit more basic. He's got basically just hoplites, peltists, yeah, Toxotes and prods, so he's really only got the 4 units. There's a whole bunch of different things here in Nidat's army at the moment. He's got spearmen, he's got hypers, he's got pelters, he's got saris, he's got prods, he's got priests, he's got everything at the moment except some hoplites. And he's had some of those in the past, in that last engagement, so Nidath is really making use of the entirety of the Greek arsenal. FF, on the other hand, really staying ahead in terms of his upgrade count at the moment. So again, the score's starting to widen as the upgrades all kick in. So he's looking at rallying his cavalry as he notices that he's got the upgrade advantage to be able to do that little bit more damage to all the units. And he's going to try and snipe a couple of villages where he can and then back out, forcing Nidath off the gold on the top side. Nidath's going to try and take the one on the bottom side too. Here's one all on the very far top, so think Nideth is going to try and repeat the game. Going to have a try and reversal of the game where he got bled out in gold by FF. Even though FF was really hunkered down in his own base and had multiple forts pushed up on the front of his base as forward position from Nideth in the last time these guys faced in a couple of stream games yesterday. Nideth actually ran out of gold because FF put a gold mine down on the only gold both players had scouted left. So really funny when things came down to that. This forward fortress of Nideth is actually being chipped away at quite heavily. This second Palantonon here in time just to actually take out the first of Nideth. So Nideth's a little bit behind in terms of the siege count at the moment, and with some good control here onto the priest, you can get some nice kills with the Palantonons. Saying that Nideth's army comp is quite a nice Peltus comp. He does need to get a bit more to actually deal with these Palantonons though. He might have too many Peltus, I think. There's just so much cavalry from FF, there's a couple of siege, so these are really nice things to deal with that. And if rallied onto these priests, I think the Palantonons could really do some damage, as well as maybe right in the middle of these clumps here. So they're getting a couple of good shots off now. The Peltus count of FF's is a little bit low actually. He really needs to sort of move off the Toxotes because his opponent has plenty of Peltus to counter those, but Nideth is really dropping behind on scoring. He's just running Peltus out. Hoplite's actually coming out now for FF, so that's really nice transition because he's going to be able to trade quite evenly with the Peltus, be able to put down some good siege, and these Palantonons are really starting to mop things up now. So the fortress, I fear, is going to fall in a second because this Palantonon's only quite late queued. So these two Palantonons, well, I think on the top side one might be hitting it. Should be able to kill it. So he does get it. And the other one put some work in on the army of Nideth. So FF, he's in a nice position at the moment. Nideth, he played quite strongly considering he's behind on the workers, but he's got even less. So has he been raided? He killed some workers. Oh, he must have lost some. Yeah, Nideth really falling behind on score now. FF is really started to maintain a macro lead. Now with that high worker count, he's actually got his market line down here. So that's quite a nice market line, quite a large one. And tucked away down there, his opponent might not even see it. He's actually taking these 2 golds, Nideth. So that's really what's keeping his economy in gear, I think. Doesn't seem that he's actually got a market line of his own. He's got some idle villages just around the map. So this is also going to be starting to hurt him because that's 17 villages, and he's only got 55 to begin with, and he's basically down 45 villages, and 17 of those 45 aren't even doing anything at the moment. FF, likewise, probably does have some idle villages and have some inefficiently gathering villages, but at the moment, it seems that he's really in a nice position economically over his opponent. If he can just unsiege these and shift these up here, catch this just in time, but I think that might be what he's going for. I think he might actually be taking a direct engagement, so he needs to be careful and get some good hits off on the ballistas. So he takes one out, gets damage on the other one, and try and take it out, and does manage to do so. So FF in a nice position now. Nideth's actually offering for Gastrofidi, so it's going to be really hard for the barracks units, but in saying that, I think if he just manages to keep up some of his Peltus production, FF might be able to push Nideth back here. But Nideth really needs to start introducing some more prods of his own, because he needs to be able to take out these siege. He needs to be able to start sniping some more range with the Saris again like he was doing earlier. Because things just aren't really happening at the moment. He can't take engagements. There's not really much in terms of initiative in his army at the moment. Because if he goes in with the Peltus, they're just going to get splat by the Palantonons. They're just such a bad thing to have against the Palantonons, who are just destroying all the production facilities, destroying all the siege. Really expensive units. These are close to 500 resources each, these ballistas. Palantonons, they are 600 resources, so these are really expensive units, trading blows at the moment. And the ballista, it's quite well microed by Nideth, but it's not going to be enough. The hit doesn't even end up hitting the Pelter, so it's really nice of FF actually microing that back there. In fact, I don't think it was micro back. It was just the fact that the target died. So anyway, it was sort of not really a good final shot. He might have been able to take out that Palantonon actually, which would have been sort of ideal. So this forward TC of Nideth might be falling soon. And FF's doing a good job of keeping up his gold income despite not having the two middle gold mines. He's taken the top side gold mine and has his earlier set up market line. I don't think Nideth actually has one. Oh, he does now. In terms of his caravan count, I think he's a little bit behind on the caravan count. He does have a nice big force in the middle though. FF's just not really spending a lot at the moment. Here we go. We're getting a lot more queued up now, and there's actually a Palantonon here of Nideth. Putting in the work. Might be able to take out some siege. Oh, but it falls quite quickly. There's just too much siege for FF. He's got double ballista production. He's got 2 Palantonons. Actually, he's got the ability to produce 3 ballistas. Wow, he's really rented up there, and GG. FF takes the first game over Nideth. What did we just witness, guys? So in terms of the villager population, FF just sort of maintaining that solid villager lead with just that optimal number of villagers for the situation. Nideth, I think that's what really killed him in the end, because he was taking a lot of really good fights, and it just didn't seem to pan out for him in the end. And I think, yeah, that's largely because of the economic gap. And GG, guys. What a good first game. Oh shit. I'm retiring. I'm actually retiring. Whoops. Alright, so we have game number 2 between these two. And so we'll see if they're going to swap civs or if they're going to stay Greek. Okay, so I think FF's going to go Babylonian. Okay, so we'll be on in 5 minutes, guys. Just going to take a quick break and get into game number 2. This round, I think this is actually the wrong way, that number 1 for FF score. So it's nice to actually see him get the first leg up today. I think yesterday he fell 2-1. I think he won the second game. So interesting to see if he can do it today. If he can really win over Nideth, because Nideth, he's taking some really nice fights, but he is sort of lacking economically, I think. But they're certainly good, very good players. So it's nice to really see how they're going. Guys, be with you in a couple of minutes. Take a quick break. Alright guys, so it looks like we're back on with a Babylonian versus Greek game. So it looks like Treasure Island for game number 2. So for our sponsors today we have water from the local council tap. Alright, so we are live with the Treasure Island game with FF on the bottom corner as the blue Babylonian player, and as the red Greek player we have Nida. So Nida's actually taking quite a dangerous little trip here. He's rallied to take every single wolf, take every single deer, but he's been attacked by the wolves this time, so Scout's really low already. In the meantime, FF is able to take his quite easily. I think there would have probably been another hunt up over here, or over on the top side somewhere. A little bit safer, so FF's actually giving up an early hunting dogs. He could have actually got that instantly, but it is still a little bit earlier than the storehouse. But yeah, realistically, if you want to take it early, you can take it instantly. And so it kicks in just pretty much as soon as you get there. Although it is still quite a nice timing, because it is going to kick in a little bit earlier than anything coming out from FF. I mean, anything from Nidath, but it looks like he's going to be taking an early barracks at this stage. Or an early dock, possibly. So there's actually barracks here to try and safeguard the storehouse, because it is such a distance outside the TC range. I do wonder if Nidath is going to look for trying to get a dock up behind this as well. And so FF's actually coming around to scout the back of Nidath's base. So we've got the second ox cart here. No actual barracks or anything yet from FF. And a storehouse being thrown down for Nidath. Barracks is actually finished up and he's got a spear in production. And the Babylonian player at this stage has nothing yet on the field. Is taking an H2 at this stage. But he does want to try and get that economic leg over his opponent in this game again. Worked for him last, and he might get it to work for him in this game. He's throwing down a house, making sure he's not going to get population capped anytime soon. Nidath opting for a dock first, over his town centre, just behind the barracks. And they got a single spearman at the moment. Everyone's sort of standing around. Oh no, they are gathering. That's good to see. This dock is going to be finished soon. but so is FF's age 2, so he's actually in a really nice spot there with that stone mine being so close to the town centre. Doesn't even really need to get an ox cart, can sort of just rely on putting the wood towards the town centre and towards, oh, there's some fishing ships for Nita. FF, yeah, he's got the wood just about to get his town centre. Nita, in saying that, has got the fishing ships. He's starting to take his stone now himself, and he does have that spearman advantage on the field. He's getting age 2 to be able to get some hypers, probably some bowmen behind that. FF actually taking a loom. This is actually quite a nice position here because they are just outside the range of the first, but the first will be able to defend the second for any attacks over this side. So a really nice position for that second town centre of FF's. Nita Death in the meanwhile, he's got this dock right here to help defend this golden stone mine, so it's also some good placement from him. But at the same time, it would probably been scouted by now, has it? No, FF doesn't actually know about the dock. And Nita, in the meanwhile, doesn't know about the TC, so neither player really knows where each other is at the moment in terms of economy. They do have a good idea about each other's military. And for FF, that's basically nothing at the moment. For Nita, that's obviously a bunch of infantry. And FF is responding in kind by getting his ranged already, so FF would have scouted that out now. So he's seen the dock, be able to try and respond in time, but Nita might look at being able to get out an early warship to deny the water of FF completely, and then just be able to push you into him on the land, because FF has really only got the one range in production now. He's now actually looking at taking barracks behind that, so that's good to see. So he's going to have a bit of a mixed force, although Babylonian, they don't really have a counter infantry unit. Their spearmen, the Babylonian spearmen are sort of good at dealing damage to enemy infantry, and then the bearers are sort of good at taking damage, but neither unit's particularly good at doing both. They haven't really got, neither unit gives the bonus versus infantry, so Babylonian really don't have a lot of infantry pressure against infantry. They're going to have to rely on their bowmen, they're going to have to rely on their lancers, so FF is going to have to play it safe, because he does know that Nideth is probably going to try and mass up a similar force of his hypers, mixing a couple of spears with it, really try and deny vision in his base as well. So FF, in the meanwhile, is trying to pull ahead as much as he can economically on the land. He's actually up by about 5 villages at the moment. He's hasn't got the dock yet, but he might be looking at taking it soon, or looking at taking his market. So either advantage over his opponent is going to be good, considering that Nideth, for the time being, is still only on a 1 town centre, and hasn't really gotten a lot in the way of production facilities himself yet. He's got another stables down, well, a stables down, another on the way, but FF is pretty much even in terms of production facilities now. He's sort of in the position to take a couple more behind this as well. Whereas Nideth is going to have to lock up resources on taking his town centre still. He's still actually gathering a bit of stone, so that's probably not so good for him at the moment, unless he's getting enough for a single upgrade to take instantly, but he doesn't really have the wood to throw down both the town centre and take an upgrade after throwing down an armory as well. But this could be a big catch here. If FF doesn't realise this, then this could be really, really messy for him. He does manage to pull out just in time, I think. He's going to manage to save everything. And he does have a good, healthy bowman counter deal with this massive infantry. Going to get a couple of get a nice pick off there. No damage onto his units, other than to some of his villagers, but none of them are really below halfway, so I'd say that's a pretty nice trade for him. But in the meantime, Nideth is taking his second town centre behind this, sort of backing off. FF does really need to sort of maintain production. Get some stuff out in the field to be able to take a good fight. Throwing down a couple of houses, maybe it might be a good time to throw down the garden. He's got a lot of gold in the bank again. And that's essentially resources locked up that he can't use. And he's already got H3 on the way, so his gold income is just massive. Might be looking at taking some good upgrades going into age 3 though, so just have to see where he goes from here. But he's doing a really nice job with his land macros, up to 41 villages to 31 at Nida, who, yeah, like I said earlier, still has that dock advantage over his opponent, so he's down 10 villages, really only has 3 fishing tips to sort of counteract that, so there's sort of a 7 villager advantage, and without more docks to replace that, because of travel time, that gap is only going to widen out to 8 or 9 villages worth. So this trireme is going to really work to try and deny the water. Not really in range to deny the berries as well. But it is a bit of an investment. It's 250 resources. And yeah, it does cost 3 population as well. So Freeclair making a little bit of commitment on the water there to really deny his opponents. And FF is seeming to do a good job on the land. He's taking some gardens now. Probably should look at throwing another village onto that one to get it straight away. A couple of forces here of Nideth. He's actually rallied some Saris in. He wants to try and deal some damage on one side of the base while he hits the other with the infantry force. And there's some production facilities finishing off near this gold mine. His primary gold mine's actually completely unsaturated. He's fully saturated this one over here. In fact, he'd probably be better off sort of splitting between the two. If you're gonna seal the units when the watch post finished, Nideth is a little bit unaware that it's just outside of range. So as soon as that finishes though, and Nideth is actually gonna scout it just. And notice it's only just finished, so probably thought it's been down there the whole time, and he's actually backing off. Thinks he might be getting baited in. FF having good vision of where his opponent is, but all these untasked villages, that could be a bit harmful. He's really only just ahead in population. He's really only ahead by 15 villages, and having 12 of them idle like that sort of puts him in the position where he's on an even foot. So he needs to get them moving. He's going to get them moving now. It's good to see. Meantime, Nida is looking at taking some upgrades out of his armory, throwing down some more production facilities. There's some barracks, rangers, got a couple of stables as well. He's looking at hitting age 3. FF's already got his. Beauty of the Babylonians. He's got that ability to age up, add the ziggurat whenever he wants. Really, you've got to try and time upgrades around it rather than try and time villager production around it. So he's made full use of that. He's up to 59 villages, 38 of his opponent. He's taking ox cart garrison upgrade, so I'm not sure why he's taking that. Maybe just to try and keep villagers alive. Good garrison timing there, but he needs to move his army in. This town centre. It's in a bit of a precarious spot. Sorry guys, I was going to try and up my sound. All these archers are a little bit exposed here. All the Saris are going to really be able to chip through them because they're trying to focus on the infantry, but the Saris are just going to pop them. They're going to drop like flies. It's nice to see them wedge back here now, and the Saris are sort of forced to have to come back around, but he's sort of forced to have to try and focus the Saris down. The mounted archers aren't really focusing the right target. They really need to be focusing the Saris. They are now, and FF is going to be able to hold here, I think. Single hyper trying to put in the work on the villagers. And FF does live to fight another day for now. Nida sort of trying to scout out everything on his opponent's side of the map in the meantime. I will actually see if I can up my sound. I'll be 1 sec, guys. Alright, so the game should be a little bit louder now. Fortress being built here by FF. He's really only got the 1 villager on it, so it's not going to be up anytime soon. And he is actually just neck and neck in terms of population, with 22 less villagers, so 22 more villagers. So he's actually got a much smaller force on the field than Nida. So things could get hairy in the next minute or so. his third TC is actually finishing up. FF hasn't actually taken his third TC at the moment. After having spent that stone on, well, spend the wood on the fortress, he's got so much stone in the bank. Too much stone in the bank. Fortress is going to finish up in time. Zanita didn't manage to scout it out in time, but he is definitely making full use of the water. He's up to 6 fishing ships now. So Neardeath is really sort of bouncing back on the water right now. And is actually getting his net lures upgrade. He probably could have taken that a little bit earlier, actually. And the fortress for FF finishes up. Does he actually see... He does actually see his opponent's army all there, just ready and waiting. So he's going to be able to prepare himself with counters, but he needs to get them out quickly. He's got plenty of resources in the bank, but he's just population capped at the moment. Both players probably really need to look at throwing down all their houses at the moment, and FF really needs to look at taking that third town centre. So both players sort of struggling a little bit with trying to keep up with the max of the macro, but there's a fortress here from Neardeath and a really nice spot. It's going to be able to deny the gold and stone over FF side of the map. This is some really nice, or really not nice position for a lot of FF's gold. It's quite dangerously positioned just below that high ground just there. So Neardeath is actually, well, he's got this one that's sort of exposed to the water, but in saying that, he's got the water himself, and this other one here sort of just been able to naturally leapfrog to. This one over here as well, it's sort of in vision of FF, so he'll be able to raid that if he sees his opponent try and take it anytime soon. And the Sari is being whittled away at. It's going to fall before it really gets too much scouting information other than of the fortress itself. It's quite a nice force of the cavalry here from the Babylonian player, who actually has pulled ahead on the population now, which is nice to see. But in saying that, Neardeath, come on man, just build some houses, please. Neardeath really needs to get those houses finished up, but I think he's going to be able to boom ahead in terms of his population as well. But he is still down in terms of villages. It's 52 to 69, so it's effectively 58 to 69 with the water. So he's still about 10 villages down. FF though does have a lot, just sort of standing around doing nothing and saying that at the moment. And this fortress of FF's is going to get denied, I believe. So it is a bit of a blow to him because he's sort of relying on that to keep this TC. It's already quite low from the earlier fights defended. And Neardeath has taken a really nice position here, but there's not a lot of frontline. He's sort of got too many hypers, not enough spearmen to really deal with the lancers, and they're all just getting tipped down by the bowmen anyway, and the pelters just aren't really rallied onto the bowmen. So getting tons of free damage on. And FF is really able to eradicate Neardeath's force here, I believe. This is all just really going to get bowled over by this massive ranged cavalry mounted archers coming in. There's another fortress there being constructed by FF, so he's really going to be able to sort of siege himself up well on this front line. Neardeath, in the meanwhile, sort of can't really afford to keep maxing out, keep re-maxing like FF can. He's still down 20 villages. And FF, he's even got his marker line set up. Neardeath doesn't look to, he does actually have his marker line set up, so Neardeath does have a market as well, but is still down by about 20 villages. And just doesn't really have a lot in the bank. FF still getting some more upgrades. Neardeath still trailing on the score. And pharmacology just helping those units that took a bit of damage and top up. Really slow upgrade, but it does come in handy, especially if the units just are sort of rallied now to do nothing or to avoid taking hits in the next fight. Be quite useful. And there's a big packet of villagers doing nothing here. About 10 of them. They're all getting chipped into by all the range. And the mounted archers in particular are just really eradicating the villagers. So that's going to be a big loss for Neardeath, who's already behind on villagers. He's down to 43 to 75. FF is going to eradicate this barracks. He's got enough forces to really try and take this fight, even cavalry versus infantry, because if the lancers are at the front line, they sort of counter the infantry just as much. So he just needs to take a nice fight here and he might be able to win this one. FF is clearly maxed out in terms of his production. Needeth is really only about 105, so that's 75 population difference right now. FF just sort of forced a retreat. The fortress actually being taken down by some really nice use of Palantonons behind all this. There's some really lovely pressure game by FF. Sniping that, he's going to be able to come in here, take the workers out with the cavalry himself. And Needeth is sort of backed into a corner at this stage. He's got to start making use of the water a little bit more, I think. FF can look at taking this one. Distance gathering on the storehouse. That's naughty, naughty, naughty. Some upgrades here for Needeth. And he's actually still hasn't really only taken his +2 range damage upgrade. FF on the meantime, he's making use of every single one of his upgrades. Edith's just sort of saying that he's quite tired at the moment, sort of apologising for his play. FF just sort of waiting on some upgrades to kick in now, I think. He's just maxed out, just making sure he's got enough in the bank to be able to remax behind this. And Needeth, the longer this is going on, the worse it's getting for him, because he's really down by about 34. And he's just losing a whole bunch of pelters that have just been rallied in as well. So every loss is basically another small gain for FF, who's already ahead on score, already has a bit more on the field. Big Lancer count, Lancer champions actually, so they're going to be able to constantly re-rally in, get good connections on the Spearmen, do that increased damage, and deal basically 10 times the normal damage of one shot the Spearmen. And he's going to keep rallying and taking fights. He's got a good count on the mounted archers to be able to kill all the Prodromos who are trying to take them out. So the fact that there's not enough range, and there's not enough cavalry, I think it's going to be a GG. Alright, so in terms of the villagers there, yeah, there's just so much less in terms of cuts to villager production from FF. And it's all this Babs OP, Babs OP. I think the current population, yeah, he really maintained a lead on that. Good harass. I think Needeth is just a bit tired. So he's going to come back stronger than ever before, tomorrow or next weekend, and we're going to all be witnesses to that, guys. Alright, so I think both of our American players, well, our Canadian and our South American player, are going to need to go to bed. There's a Battle of the Americas. When it happens at some silly, ridiculous time, like 3 in the morning or 5 in the morning, well, they're starting to feel pretty wrecked, I'd imagine. Alright guys, we'll be on in a couple of minutes. Alright guys, so yeah, we're going to have a best of one between Rizor and FF. Alright, so... Alright guys, yeah, we're going to take a quick break. I'm just going to go for a quick cigarette, and then we're going to do a game, a best of one between FF and Rizor. I'm keen to see how that one goes. Alright guys, so we're back on. We're gonna have a best of one. Yeah, just about to go live. Sorry about the delay. Oh cool, we got up to 600 bucks for the tournament. So thank you guys for chipping in. Thank you so much. Gonna have a cracker of a tournament at the end, well at the start of next year sometime. Shortly after Roman's release. So that'll be really, really nice. It's not starting, it'll be 1 sec. Alright, so we're just trying with Ryzor as host now, so hopefully we're going to get this game start. Peer-to-peer is just sort of messing us around a little bit. No matter what system you use, it's never going to be reliable, unfortunately, without just a good server dedicated, but that stuff is expensive, so I'm sure we'll probably get there one day, but for now, we've got to put up with peer-to-peer. Unfortunately, we're just having some connection issues, so we're just gonna try swap back to me as host. Hopefully get this game started. Torch on equal footing game. And I'm hosting. I'm the boss. Fingers crossed. We're going to be able to get going now. Ryzel's saying he's got Nat Puncture and Pod Forwarding, so he's not sure what else to do. And if I could type, I'd tell him to pray. Just be 1 second. While I wait for this to time out, then I can actually try and get someone else host. FF's going to try relogging now. Hopefully we're going to be able to get a game underway. These two are usually really easy for me to connect to, so I'm not sure what the problem is. Nigel, please stay. Unless you gotta go do stuff. That's understandable, because it's already been nearly an hour past. Like, you would have been finished by now. Yeah, he's already left. Alright guys, well I'm gonna have to apologise, but I don't think that we're gonna be able to play another at this stage because Rizel's unable to connect, which is a huge shame. He really wanted to play. We're just having some connection problems between the three of us, so I guess that's gonna have to be it. Unless anyone wants to step in for another game to play against FF, because I think he'd be down for best of one. Yeah, unfortunately, we're going to have to call it that today. But make sure to check out the replay of FF vs Nideth, as well as all the replays from the tournament that's been on, and all the show matches, and the prior tournament this year as well, because they're all some pretty exciting games. And thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm afraid to hold you up for so long. I guess we'll see you.